The peaceful blue skies above Earth were suddenly shattered by the roar of alien ships. For months, there had been rumors of strange sightings, but no one had believed them. Earth's leaders laughed it off, dismissing the warnings as nothing more than hoaxes. The world was busy, its focus split between wars, politics, and the constant rush of daily life. No one could have prepared for what was about to come. Then, on that fateful morning, the sky darkened. It wasn't a storm, but something far worse. Massive triangular ships appeared out of nowhere, blocking out the sun. They hovered silently above Earth's major cities. The streets fell eerily quiet. People stood frozen, looking up, as the enormous ships loomed over them. Panic spread quickly. No one knew who these invaders were or what they wanted. But they didn't waste any time announcing their presence. The first strike came without warning. Energy beams shot down from the ships, hitting key military bases, communication towers, and power plants. Cities were plunged into darkness. Governments scrambled to respond, but it was already too late. The aliens had already taken control of Earth's atmosphere. Back at the United Nations, world leaders were in chaos. Phones rang off the hook as military commanders tried to make sense of the attack. A global panic began to spread. In every country, people rushed to find shelter, unsure of what was happening. There were no demands, no messages from the invaders, just destruction. The only thing the aliens made clear was that they had arrived, and they had come to conquer. Meanwhile, the rest of the world's defense systems tried desperately to mount a counterattack. Nations scrambled to activate their nuclear arsenal, hoping to strike first, but nothing seemed to work. Earth's most advanced weapons were useless against the invaders. Ships that once ruled the skies were now powerless against the alien technology. Nothing they fired at the ships seemed to cause any damage. The alien fleet was simply too advanced. In moments, Earth's governments were reduced to confusion. They had no plan, no strategy, and no chance against an enemy that had invaded so swiftly. The alien fleet, which seemed to be led by a massive mothership, hovered in the skies like a shadow of doom. It was clear that Earth was facing something far greater than they could comprehend. The world's greatest minds gathered in secret, trying to figure out what to do. What was the enemy's weakness? Why had they attacked? The answers were nowhere to be found. Every attempt to communicate with the invaders failed. There was no reply to the desperate messages sent through space. It felt as though Earth had been abandoned in its moment of greatest need. But even in the face of overwhelming force, Earth's spirit wasn't broken. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and now they would have to do it again. But what could they possibly do? Their most powerful military technology was useless against an enemy they didn't even understand. The whole world waited, breathlessly, for the next move. The mysterious alien fleet continued its quiet siege. The aliens made no demands, no threats. They didn't need to. Their presence alone was enough to send Earth into chaos. Everyone wondered the same thing. Why had they come? Were they here to take over the planet? Or was there something more sinister at play? With every passing hour, the stakes grew higher. Earth was on the brink of losing everything. But amidst the panic, something unexpected started to happen. Humans began to work together. The best minds from every corner of the globe started to share their ideas, theories, and research. Every scientist, every engineer, every military leader became a part of the puzzle. There was no more time for bickering or arguing. The entire world had to unite for survival. As people scrambled to make sense of the alien fleet's overwhelming power, one thought began to form in the minds of many. There had to be something they could do. Humans had always fought against the odds. And now, in the face of extinction, they had no choice but to try. The question was, what could they do that would give them a chance against an enemy so much more advanced than anything Earth had ever known? And so, with a sense of desperation and unity, humanity began to fight back, because it was the only choice they had. But no one knew where to begin. No one knew how to face an enemy that had already shown the world how easy it was to destroy. The first steps were uncertain, and the future was unclear. But Earth wasn't giving up without a fight. As the world waited for its leaders to act, the alien fleet simply observed. It was as if they knew something that humans didn't. Something that made their calm confidence even more terrifying. What had humanity gotten itself into? And more importantly, what would happen next? The world held its breath. The clock was ticking. Would Earth fight back, or would this invasion mark the end of everything humanity had built? The days after the first alien attack were filled with confusion and fear. Earth's leaders, once so sure of their place in the galaxy, were now scrambling to form a plan. Governments around the world had fallen into disarray, unable to provide answers to their citizens. The world's military forces, although powerful in their own right, were completely outmatched by the alien invaders. The alien fleet hovered ominously in Earth's orbit, and no one knew their next move. In every corner of the globe, scientists, engineers, and military commanders were working around the clock. But what could they do? The alien ships were impenetrable to Earth's most advanced weapons. The latest satellite systems had been wiped out in the first wave of attacks, and even nuclear missiles, Earth's last resort, seemed powerless against the alien technology. How could they hope to defend themselves against such an overwhelmingly powerful enemy? But even in the darkest hours, humanity refused to surrender. Instead of breaking under the weight of defeat, humans began to rally together, as they always did in times of crisis. People from every nation, every culture, began to share information, to collaborate, and to pool their resources. The world's greatest minds, once divided by politics and borders, were now united by a single urgent goal: survival. In a top-secret meeting, military leaders and scientists from around the world gathered in a hidden underground facility. They were desperate, but they knew they had to come up with something, anything, to turn the tide in humanity's favor. But what could possibly stand up to the aliens' overwhelming power? The first step was to understand the enemy. Earth had no clue where the alien ships came from, what their weaknesses were, or even why they had invaded. The initial assumption was that they were looking to conquer the planet. However, this theory was based purely on guesswork. No communication had come from the alien fleet, and no one knew their true intentions. Were they here to destroy humanity, or was there something else at play? As the days passed, Earth's best and brightest minds pored over the data collected from the alien ships. There was one thing they did know. The technology used by the aliens was far more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. Their ships could withstand Earth's most powerful weapons, and their weapons could obliterate entire cities in seconds. It seemed hopeless, but humans were known for their ingenuity, and they weren't going to give up without a fight. In a last-ditch effort, the global coalition decided to try a new strategy: sabotage. They knew that they couldn't face the aliens head-on, but perhaps they could find a weakness in the fleet's system and exploit it. The world's top hackers, engineers, and military strategists worked together to create a plan. They would launch a series of covert missions aimed at infiltrating the alien technology. The hope was that one of these efforts would reveal a chink in the alien armor, something that could be used to turn the tables. The first mission was a daring attempt to hack into the alien communications system. If they could intercept a transmission, they might be able to learn more about the invaders and perhaps even communicate with them. The team of hackers and engineers worked in secret, launching their operation from a hidden location. The mission was dangerous, and they had no idea what they would encounter. They knew the alien fleet had advanced technology capable of detecting and stopping anything that came too close. Still, they had no choice but to try. In the quiet depths of a secure underground facility, a group of military leaders gathered to discuss the next steps. They were trying to remain hopeful, but the truth was clear. Earth was outmatched. Their weapons couldn't penetrate the alien ships, and their best defenses were useless against the invaders. Yet humanity wasn't known for backing down in the face of adversity. They would fight. no matter the odds. Meanwhile, above Earth, the alien fleet continued to hover, silent and watchful. They made no moves, as if waiting for something. But what were they waiting for? Was it a signal? A response from Earth? Or had they already decided that their victory was assured? No one could say for sure. The tension in the air was palpable. The world held its breath, unsure of what would come next. The global coalition had to act quickly before the aliens made their next move. But what could they do? Earth's military was strong, but not strong enough. The enemy was simply too advanced. All they had left was hope. Hope that they could find a way to turn the tide. Hope that, against all odds, humanity could deliver a counterattack that would save them from the brink of destruction. As the world waited for a breakthrough, the aliens made no further advances. It was as if they were waiting for something. But what? Were they just playing with humanity? Or was there a deeper strategy at play? No one knew. But the one thing that was certain was that the next few days would be critical. Earth's response had to be swift, and it had to be effective. And so, humanity waited, ready for its next move. But the question remained, what would that move be? As the alien fleet loomed over Earth, the world's military and scientific leaders scrambled for a solution. Every plan they had so far had failed or been rendered useless by the aliens' overwhelming power. Their only remaining option was to launch a desperate counterattack, a bold strike that could, hopefully, force the invaders to rethink their invasion. But how could they fight an enemy so technologically advanced, so ruthless? The thought of facing down the alien ships without knowing their weaknesses was a daunting prospect. Earth's military had always been powerful, but this wasn't just any conflict. This was a war against a force so far beyond humanity's understanding that it felt like a suicide mission. The atmosphere around Earth had become tense, almost unbearable. Governments around the world were on edge, and people held their breath as they awaited the next move. Some believed it was already too late. There was no hope for Earth. Others refused to give up, determined that humanity would fight to the last. But what could they possibly do? Then, in the quietest corner of a military command center, a breakthrough came. It was a simple idea, one that hadn't been considered before. The aliens had come in full force, but perhaps, in their overconfidence, they had overlooked something important. Earth's ability to fight back in unpredictable, unconventional ways. The plan was risky, but it was the only option left. It was time to strike, but instead of using Earth's weapons directly against the invaders, the counterattack would involve a more cunning approach. The human leaders knew they had to use their resourcefulness, their ingenuity. It would take every bit of humanity's creativity and adaptability to succeed. A specialized task force was assembled, one made up of the best soldiers, engineers, and hackers. This group was tasked with infiltrating the alien fleet's communication system. If they could access it, they could disrupt the invaders' operations and perhaps give Earth a fighting chance. The mission was dangerous. The alien fleet was equipped with technologies that could detect and destroy anything that posed a threat. But the humans had one advantage. They knew the invaders had underestimated Earth's determination. If they could get close enough to the alien fleet, they might be able to find a weakness, something they could exploit. The task force worked quickly, with no room for error. They knew that if they were detected, it would mean certain death. But they pushed forward with a single goal in mind. They would strike at the heart of the alien fleet and change the course of the war. As the group prepared to launch the operation, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the edge of something monumental. This was not just a military mission. It was humanity's last hope. They had to succeed. If they failed, Earth might never recover. Hours later, the team deployed. They launched an advanced stealth drone, one designed to evade the alien fleet's sensors. The drone carried with it the hacking tools needed to access the alien communication system. It was a high-stakes gamble, but it was the only shot they had. The drone made its way toward the alien fleet, undetected at first. But as it approached the heart of the invasion, things began to go wrong. The alien security systems were even more advanced than Earth had anticipated. The drone barely avoided detection by using an innovative scrambling method developed by human engineers, but they could only remain undetected for so long. As the drone neared the alien ships, the task force held their breath. They were so close. Then, just as the drone made contact with the alien fleet's communication network, everything went silent. The team had hacked into the alien systems. They could now see what was happening inside the alien fleet. Their communication lines were open, and the task force could gather crucial intel. But the moment of triumph was short-lived. The aliens had noticed the breach. Their response was immediate. Within seconds, they launched a counterattack. The drone was hit by a barrage of energy blasts, its shields faltering. It seemed like the mission would fail. But before the drone was destroyed, it managed to transmit one last message back to Earth. The data it had gathered was invaluable. They had found a weak spot in the alien fleet's defenses, one that could be exploited by Earth's forces. The task force had done their part. In the control room, the team breathed a collective sigh of relief. They had managed to infiltrate the alien fleet and find a vulnerability. It wasn't much, but it was something. Something that could turn the tide of the war. The next phase of the counterattack was about to begin. The humans had managed to do the impossible. They had struck at the heart of the alien fleet, and for the first time, they had forced the invaders to play defense. The aliens, who had once thought of humanity as insignificant, were now on the back foot. Earth had taken the first step in reclaiming their planet. But the war was far from over. The humans knew that this was just the beginning. They had no time to rest. The alien fleet was regrouping, and Earth would need to stay one step ahead if they were to succeed in this battle. But with the aliens' weakness now exposed, humanity had a fighting chance. And for the first time since the invasion, hope burned brightly across Earth. As the forces prepared for the next wave of attacks, one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer the underdog. They were no longer helpless in the face of an unbeatable enemy. They had shown the alien fleet that humans could fight back and win. The counterattack had begun, and Earth was ready. The data that the task force had sent back was a game-changer. As Earth's military leaders studied it, a new sense of hope began to spread across the globe. For the first time, humanity saw a real chance to strike back at the alien invaders. The weakness was there, exposed, and it wasn't just a crack in their defenses. It was a gaping hole that they could exploit. The alien fleet had focused all their resources on overwhelming Earth's defenses, never considering that humans could develop a counter-strategy so quickly. They had assumed their technology was far superior to anything humanity could muster. But they had underestimated Earth's most powerful weapon, the human will to survive. On Earth, the military response was swift. The intelligence gathered by the task force gave them the edge they needed. They quickly mobilized every available resource, organizing Earth's forces into a massive counteroffensive that would strike at the heart of the alien fleet's vulnerability. General Cole, one of the leaders of the counterattack, stood in the war room, his eyes fixed on the holographic map of the battlefield. His face was hard, but there was a glimmer of resolve in his expression. "This is our moment," he said. "We've got them right where we want them. We take this chance, or we lose everything." The team in the war room had worked tirelessly for hours, preparing for the mission. Every soldier, every ship, every weapon was part of this massive offensive. They had only one shot to get it right. The plan was simple but daring. Using the weakness discovered by the infiltrating team, they would send in a concentrated strike force of Earth's most advanced ships, designed to target the vulnerable spots in the alien fleet's defensive grid. The attack would need to be precise, fast, and overwhelming, just enough to destabilize the alien fleet and push them back. As the forces prepared for the strike, the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on the soldiers. This was no longer just a battle for territory. It was a battle for the very survival of humanity. They were fighting for their homes, their families, their future. The stakes had never been higher. The moment of launch arrived. Earth's ships, equipped with the latest technology and armed with weapons specially designed to exploit the alien weakness, began their journey toward the alien fleet. Each ship carried a team of elite soldiers, ready to board and fight hand-to-hand if necessary. The plan was to cripple the alien fleet's command and control system, rendering them disorganized and vulnerable. As the ships approached the alien fleet, the tension was unbearable. The alien ships loomed ahead, massive and intimidating, but now Earth's forces had the upper hand. The weakness was real, and the humans were determined to use it. General Cole's voice crackled through the communication system. "All units, hold steady. This is our moment." The strike began with a sudden, blinding flash of light. A volley of laser beams and explosive rounds fired from Earth's ships, streaking through space toward the alien fleet. The aliens, taken off guard, scrambled to react, but it was too late. The precise strike hit their vulnerable spots, and the first alien ship exploded in a burst of fire and debris. The chain reaction spread quickly, sending shockwaves through their ranks. Humanity's ships were relentless, pressing forward with overwhelming force. The alien fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable power, was now in disarray. The humans had found their footing and were proving that they were not the weak, helpless species the aliens had thought them to be. For a moment, it seemed like victory was within their grasp. The aliens attempted to regroup, but they were disorganized. Earth's ships pressed their advantage, striking quickly and decisively. It was a beautiful sight, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of humanity. The world watched in awe as the battle raged in the skies above them. The tides were turning. People had been living in fear for so long, but now they saw the strength and resilience of their species in full force. The alien fleet was crumbling, and for the first time since the invasion began, humanity had hope. But just as victory seemed certain, a new threat emerged from the chaos. A massive alien warship, far larger and more advanced than anything Earth had encountered before, began to emerge from the shadows of the fleet. It was a symbol of the alien race's true power, a final line of defense. General Cole stared at the new enemy on the holographic map. His eyes narrowed. "They've got a new weapon," he said grimly. "This isn't over yet. We'll need everything we've got to take them down." As the new alien ship advanced toward Earth's forces, the humans knew they had to act fast. They couldn't let the momentum slip away now. This new enemy was formidable, but it wasn't invincible. Earth had already proven that it could take on an entire fleet and win. The battle was far from over, but Earth had already shown the galaxy that it could fight back. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about victory. Humanity had proved that it could take on an alien fleet and hold its own. And now, they had to finish the job. As the warships prepared for the next phase of the battle, one thing was clear: humanity would not go down without a fight. They had taken the first steps toward winning the war, and they weren't going to stop until they had taken back their planet. The counterattack was far from over, but humanity had already shown the invaders what they were capable of. They had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with, and that was just the beginning. The alien fleet, despite suffering massive losses, was far from broken. The arrival of their enormous warship, massive enough to dwarf anything humanity had thrown at them, sent a ripple of fear through Earth's forces. It was clear now that this was no ordinary ship, and it was capable of devastating destruction. General Cole's voice echoed through the fleet's communication channels. "This is it, the final push. Everyone, hold your positions. We hit them with everything we've got." His voice was steady, but there was an unmistakable tension in the air. No one knew for sure if they could win this final battle. Earth's forces had already been fighting relentlessly for hours, and the strain was visible. The soldiers aboard Earth's ships were exhausted, but there was something else now, a fierce determination in their eyes. They were fighting not just for victory, but for survival. The alien warship posed a massive threat, but humanity had always thrived in the face of adversity. the massive alien ship unleashed a barrage of firepower, targeting Earth's ships with precision. Explosions rocked the fleet as enemy lasers sliced through the void of space, tearing apart Earth's defenses. For a moment, it seemed like the aliens might just have the upper hand once again. But General Cole's words kept playing in the minds of his troops. "We hit them with everything we've got." With this renewed resolve, Earth's forces rallied. Ships moved into position, organizing a concentrated attack aimed at the alien warship's weak points. They had studied the alien technology closely. Earth's engineers had found another vulnerability. This was the only chance they had. The order came through. Engage all weapons. Strike now. The sudden onslaught of Earth's firepower slammed into the alien warship's shields, pushing them to their breaking point. The alien ship, larger than anything Earth had ever faced, began to shake under the pressure. But it wasn't over yet. The alien vessel fought back with all its might, its enormous guns firing with deadly precision. General Cole's strategy was simple: exploit the alien ship's weaknesses before it could adapt. It was a high-risk maneuver, but there was no other choice. The entire fate of humanity rested on this moment. As Earth's ships coordinated their fire, they moved in for the kill. It was now or never. The alien warship's defenses were starting to fail under the pressure. Huge bursts of fire and explosions rocked the hull. But still, it didn't give up. And then, in a stunning move, Earth's elite squadron of fighter ships made a suicidal dive straight into the heart of the alien ship. Their mission was clear: get inside the warship, sabotage its core systems, and make sure it didn't survive. They launched with unparalleled precision, breaking through the alien ship's outer layers and heading straight for its vulnerable core. On board, the soldiers knew the odds were slim. They were walking into the heart of enemy territory, but they didn't hesitate. They were fighting not just for Earth, but for every human across the galaxy. Every step they took brought them closer to the victory they had so desperately fought for. As they pushed through the alien warship's defenses, it was a race against time. The ship's core had to be disabled before the aliens could regroup and retaliate with their remaining forces. The soldiers fought tooth and nail, moving swiftly through the ship's corridors, evading enemy patrols, and disabling critical systems along the way. Back outside, Earth's remaining forces held the line. The massive alien warship was beginning to show signs of weakness. The firepower from Earth's fleet was overwhelming. As explosions erupted around it, the alien ship's shields flickered and cracked. It was clear that the ship was taking critical damage. And then, the impossible happened. One of Earth's fighter ships managed to penetrate deep enough into the alien warship to plant an explosive charge directly into its core. The countdown began. Earth's forces, still locked in combat, knew that the fate of the battle was now sealed. General Cole's voice came over the comms once more, his words resolute: "Brace for impact. We're not done yet." With a deafening roar, the alien warship's core detonated, sending shockwaves through space. The blast was cataclysmic, a shockwave that reverberated through the remaining alien fleet. The once mighty warship, which had seemed invincible only moments before, was now nothing more than a destroyed husk of its former self. The alien forces, seeing the destruction of their strongest weapon, began to falter. Their resolve began to crumble. They had been so sure of their superiority, but they hadn't expected humanity to fight with such ferocity, to push back so hard. Earth's forces took full advantage of the chaos. The remaining alien ships scattered as their command structure collapsed. Humanity had finally delivered the blow that would send their enemies reeling, and victory was within reach. But as the final alien ships retreated into the vast expanse of space, a new question hung in the air. What would come next? Humanity had survived. They had won, but the war had taken a heavy toll. The people of Earth looked toward the horizon, knowing that their victory wasn't just about saving their planet. It was about proving that no force, no matter how great, could crush the spirit of humanity. The war was over, But humanity's journey was just beginning. The galaxy had witnessed their strength, and there was no going back. The battle was won, but the universe would never forget how humanity had fought. The aliens had learned their lesson the hard way. Never underestimate Earth. The silence in space was almost unbearable. After the final explosion of the alien warship, Earth's fleet hung suspended in the void, battered but victorious. The once loud, violent sounds of battle had ceased, leaving only the hum of damaged ships and the crackling of broken communication channels. For a brief moment, no one spoke. No one dared to break the heavy silence that followed the intense, grueling battle. General Cole stood at the command center of Earth's flagship, looking out at the now empty expanse where the alien warship had once stood. He didn't feel relief. Not yet. His hands were still gripping the command console, his mind racing through the details of the fight. It had been a close call. Too close. The damage to their fleet was extensive. It was clear that the cost of this victory would be felt for a long time. "We did it," said a voice behind him. It was Lieutenant Harrow, his right-hand officer, a voice of calm in the midst of chaos. She stood by his side, watching the remains of the alien fleet scatter like leaves in the wind. "We actually did it." But Cole wasn't ready to celebrate. There were still questions left unanswered. How many of Earth's ships were lost? How many lives had been sacrificed for this victory? And most importantly, what would the galaxy think of humanity now? The answer to that question was already starting to take shape. Earth's victory had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The alien forces, once so sure of their superiority, were now retreating, humiliated by the audacity of humanity's counterattack. Earth had shown that even against seemingly insurmountable odds, humans would find a way to win. But Cole knew that this wasn't the end. No matter how hard humanity had fought, no matter how many lives had been lost, this battle was just one chapter in a much larger story. As the fleet began to regroup and assess the damage, the reality set in. The war was over, but the consequences of the conflict would be felt for generations. On Earth, the news was already spreading. Broadcasts across the planet were announcing the victory, showing images of the war's final moments, the destruction of the alien warship, and the rallying cry of Earth's fleet as they pushed back the invaders. But these images didn't show the full picture. They didn't show the lives lost or the many wounded. They didn't show the heartache that came with such a victory. In the days following the battle, Earth's government called for a massive memorial service to honor the fallen. Soldiers, civilians, and families of those who gave their lives gathered together to mourn. It was a bittersweet moment. Victory had been won, but at a terrible cost. For General Cole, the weight of leadership was heavy. He was hailed as a hero, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the true cost of the war had yet to be fully understood. Every decision he made had been for the survival of his people, but there would always be a part of him that wondered if there was another way, a way to avoid the devastation, the loss, and the grief that came with it. As Earth began to rebuild, the eyes of the galaxy turned toward them. What would humanity do now? How would they respond to the new reality? They had proven themselves in battle, but the true test was yet to come. The galaxy had watched Earth's counterattack with shock and awe. The question now was whether the rest of the universe would see humanity as a new threat or an ally. There were factions within the galaxy that had already begun to stir, some eager to make peace with Earth, others desperate to exploit their newfound power. Back at Earth's command center, Cole stood with his officers, watching as reports flooded in. New intelligence was coming in fast. The alien forces weren't just retreating. They were regrouping. They hadn't given up. They would return, and when they did, they would be even more determined. But humanity had proven that they could fight. They had proven that they would not go down without a fight. And that was a message the galaxy would never forget. As Earth moved forward, Cole and his team began to plan for the future. They couldn't rest on their laurels. The war was over, but their journey had just begun. They had to rebuild, regroup, and prepare for whatever came next. It was time to look beyond the horizon. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. The war had ended, but the story of Earth's rise had only just begun. The universe had underestimated humanity, and that mistake would cost them dearly. The Earth fleet slowly made its way back toward home, the remains of the alien warships drifting behind them like forgotten shadows. The victory had been hard-earned, but the true weight of it was just beginning to sink in. As Earth's military forces began to assess the damage, the citizens on the planet began to react. News of the victory had spread like wildfire, but the reality was more complex than the headlines suggested. General Cole stood at the command center of Earth's flagship, his gaze fixed on the distant planet. Earth had won, but what would the cost of this victory be? The people had fought bravely, but many lives had been lost. Heroes had been made, but they were gone, their names carved into the annals of history. The battle was over, but the aftermath would last far longer. In the days following the final battle, Cole and his officers worked tirelessly to maintain order, ensure that their fleet was fully operational, and support the survivors of the conflict. The war had not only changed the face of the galaxy, but had also changed humanity itself. The planet was shaken, yet united in ways it had never been before. People from every corner of Earth gathered in shared spaces, watching broadcasts of their victory and mourning their losses. For the first time in generations, Earth stood as one. But there was also uncertainty. The galaxy had watched in awe as Earth had risen to defend itself. What would they think now? Would they see humanity as a threat or as an ally? Would the alien forces regroup, returning for another attack? It was a possibility that General Cole couldn't shake from his mind. He knew that the universe would be watching their next moves with a keen eye. As Earth began the process of rebuilding, the government called for unity. A massive effort was launched to rebuild the cities, restore the infrastructure that had been destroyed, and honor the fallen. Memorials were held, and names were engraved into monuments for those who had made the ultimate sacrifice. But even as they mourned, humanity knew that they could not rest. They had proven themselves in battle, but the universe was vast. There were many unknowns, many dangers that still lurked in the shadows. The leadership of Earth understood that peace would not come easily. The alien factions that had attacked Earth would not forget the humiliation they had faced. They would return, whether to seek revenge or to broker a new deal. There were whispers of new alliances forming across the galaxy, alliances that might see humanity as a powerful force to either ally with or conquer. General Cole and his council knew that their next steps were critical. Humanity had shown its strength, but the true test would be how they navigated the coming storm. Would they stand firm, or would they buckle under the weight of their newfound power? The choices they made in the coming months and years would shape the future of Earth and its place in the galaxy. As humanity celebrated their hard-won victory, Cole turned his attention to the future. His officers gathered around him, and the conversation shifted from past triumphs to future challenges. They would have to build a new network of alliances, expand their influence, and prepare for the unknown. They could not let their guard down. The galaxy had seen Earth's fury, and now it was time to show them Earth's intelligence, diplomacy, and determination. "We've proven that we can fight," Cole said, his voice low but steady. "Now it's time to show them that we can lead." The officers nodded in agreement. This was just the beginning. The battle had been won, but the war for humanity's place in the stars was far from over. And so, Earth began its journey into the new era. They had learned, fought, and sacrificed together. They had proven themselves capable of standing up to the vast unknowns of the universe. But the questions that remained were no longer about their ability to defend themselves. They were about what humanity could achieve next. What alliances could they forge? What knowledge would they seek? What enemies still lurked in the dark corners of the galaxy, waiting for the right moment to strike? The Earth fleet, battered and scarred, continued to patrol the stars, ever watchful, ever prepared. Humanity had sent a message to the galaxy, one that would not be ignored. The story of Earth's rise was far from over, and as the days passed, it became clear that Earth was no longer a small, isolated planet on the edge of the galaxy. Earth was now a force to be reckoned with. The universe had underestimated humanity, and that mistake would echo throughout the stars for generations to come.